Hello and welcome to the Benjamin Franklin Museum. I'm Austin and I'll be your tour guide for the day. Today we are going to take a tour through the life of the famous inventor Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin was born on January 17th, 1706 in Boston, Massachusetts. He was the 10th and last son of a candle maker named Josiah Franklin, married to Abiah Franklin.
Yes!
Had plans for him to be in the clergy, a leadership of a certain religion. However, Josiah didn't have the money to send Ben to school for as long as a clergyman needed. Instead, he only sent him for 1 year. After the 1 year of schooling, he went to work with his father when he was only 10 years old. 2 years later, when he was 12, he went to work with his brother, James, in a printing store. When Benjamin was 15, James started the New England Courant, one of the first newspapers in Boston, Massachusetts. Although there were already 2 other papers in Boston, the Courant was the first to report long-distance instances. James's paper contained articles, opinions of his friends, advertisements, and ship schedules, and comics such as this. Benjamin wanted to write too, but he thought that James wouldn't let him. After all, he was just a young boy. So he began writing letters and signing them under the name Mrs. Silence Doggett, a widow that Ben had created in his imagination. Silence Doggett was plentiful with advice and criticisms, a very critical person on the issues of the world, particularly the rights and treatment of women. Benjamin slid the letters under the door of the print shop at night so no one would know it was him. The letters were very popular, and everyone wanted to know who Mrs. Silence Doggett was. After 16 letters, Benjamin said that it was him who had been writing the letters. James's friends thought he was adorable. However, James was furious at his brother for all the attention they were giving him, and James was jealous as well. Okay. Soon, the Franklins were against the city of Boston's most powerful Puritan preachers, the Mathers. Smallpox was a dreaded disease in those times, and the Mathers favored inoculation, or vaccines. The Franklins hated inoculations as they thought it only made people sicker, and the Bostonians agreed. But they didn't like James for talking about the clergy during the debate between the Franklins and the Mathers. So they locked up James for his reviews, and they allowed Benjamin to keep the paper running for several more issues. When James was released from jail, James hated Benjamin for keeping the paper going. Instead, he kept bothering Benjamin and physically beating him often. Benjamin was frustrated with his brother and decided to run away. Running away was a horrible idea for Ben. In early America, people had to have a place in society, and oftentimes runaways did not have a common place. But Ben decided to run away anyway. So he took a boat to New York where he hoped to find a printing job, and he searched and searched, but he couldn't find a job. So he walked across New Jersey and finally made it into Pennsylvania by boat. After arriving, he spent the last of his money on bread. He was cold, homeless, and broke when a woman, Deborah Reed, found him later that day on October 6, 1723. She thought he looked like he needed help, but at that moment, she had no idea that she would be married to him 7 years later. In 1728, Franklin was the father to a child named William Franklin. The mother of William is unknown. However, in 1730, Benjamin married his childhood sweetheart, Deborah Reed. Deborah's husband had ran off, so she was allowed to remarry. Not only did he own a print shop, Benjamin and his family also ran a store, selling pretty much everything that the 1700s had to offer. He also ran a bookstore as well, and they were all very profitable. In 1733, he started publishing Poor Richard's Almanac. Almanacs of the time were printed annually and had things like weather forecasts, recipes, and predictions, and homilies. Franklin published the book under the name Richard Saunders, a poor man who needed to take care of his complaining wife. What distinguished Benjamin's almanac were his smart aphorisms, and his lively writing. Many of his famous phrases were put into the almanac, such as, "A penny saved is a penny earned." Franklin continued his contributions through the 1730s and the 1740s. He helped start projects that helped pave, light, and clean the streets of Philadelphia. He also started environmental cleanup. Among the best of his accomplishments in this era was helping to launch the Library Company in 1731. During this time period, books were scarce and expensive. Franklin realized that putting together the resources of members would help to afford to buy books from England, so the first subscription library was born. In 1743, Franklin launched the American Philosophical Society, the first learned society in the U.S., recognizing the city needed better help helping the ill. Benjamin brought together a group of people who formed the Pennsylvania Hospital in 1751. The Library Company, Philosophical Company, and the Pennsylvania Hospital are all still in existence. Fires were very, very dangerous to Philadelphians, so Franklin set about trying to fix the situation. In 1736, he organized Philadelphia's Union Fire Company. His famous saying, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of care," was actually advice to the firefighters. Those who suffered from fire damage also suffered horrible economic damage. So, in 1752, Benjamin helped found the Philadelphia Contribution for Insurance Against Loss by Fire. Those with insurance were not wiped out financially. The contributionship is still in order today. And one of the interesting facts about the fire company or fire insurance is that they would give you tiles like this to hang up on your fence or on your front door, so that if your house was burnt down, they would know if you had fire insurance. If the hose went towards the F, it means you did. If it went towards the A, it means you didn't. So, Franklin's printing business was a huge success in the 1730s and 40s. He also started setting up businesses and partnerships in other cities. By 1749, he retired from business and started research on science, experiments, inventions, and more. There was nothing new to Benjamin, and in 1743, he had already made the Franklin stove, which heated houses perfectly. Because it was invented to help society, he refused to patent it, and he didn't want to make any money from it. Along with his other inventions, and some of his other inventions are swim fins, the glass harmonica, bifocals, and the lightning rod. In the early 1750s, he turned to the wonders of electricity. His observations, including the kite and the key, brought him worldwide fame. Politics became more of an active interest for Benjamin in the late 1750s. In 1757, he went to London to represent Pennsylvania in fighting with the descendants of the Penn family. The Penn family thought they should represent Pennsylvania. He stayed in England to represent the Pennsylvania, Georgia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. Earlier in his life, Benjamin thought of himself as a loyal Englishman. England had had many amenities that America didn't have. England also had fine thinkers, theater, smart conversations, and other things that America didn't have. He kept asking his wife, Deborah, to visit him in England, but she didn't want to travel by ship. In 1765, Benjamin was caught by surprise by America's overwhelming dislike of the new Stamp Act. His testimony before Parliament helped convince the members to repeal the law. He decided that America should break free of England. Franklin thought that he had many friends in England and was growing sick of the corruption and darkness he saw all around him in politics in royal circles. Franklin, who had proposed a plan for the United Colonies in 1754, now would start working toward that goal. Franklin's big break with England occurred during the Hutchinson Affair. Thomas Hutchinson was an English governor of Massachusetts. Even though he pretended to take the side of Massachusetts in their complaints about England, he was still working for the king. Benjamin found some letters in which Hutchinson called for a working an abridgment of what are called English liberties in America. He sent the letters to America, where much of the population was outraged. After leaking the letters, Franklin was called to Whitehall, the English Foreign Ministry, where he was condemned in public. Benjamin Franklin finally came home to America. He started working for independence from England. He thought that his son William, now the royal governor of New Jersey, would agree with his views. William did not. William remained a loyalist. This caused a conflict between father and son, which was never healed. Benjamin was elected the Second Continental Congress and worked on a group of 5 that helped to draft the Declaration of Independence. Though much of the writing is Thomas Jefferson's, most of the contribution is Franklin's. In 1776, Franklin signed the Declaration and then sailed to France as an ambassador to the court of Louis. Okay, that's going to bring us to the conclusion of our tour today. Does anybody have any questions? You there.
Did he invent the postal service?
Yes, actually. Another one of Benjamin's inventions was the modern postal service, or the U.S. Postal Service. Yes, you, sir.
Did he bring chess to America?
Yes, Benjamin Franklin was one of the first people to bring chess to America, and in 1999, he was put into the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame. Yes, you little boy.
What's the point of the lightning rod?
The point of lightning rods was to attract lightning to keep it from striking the house, to attract it to the rod, and direct the current down to the ground so that it wouldn't damage the house. Any more? No? No? What, in the back? No? Okay. Well, then that's the conclusion of our tour, and thanks for watching.